Hello, John Gray. You're muted. Hold on. There, we'll start again.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. John Gray.
Hi, Raymond. Pleasure to talk to you again.
Oh my gosh. In case someone doesn't know you, let me just give an introduction. Dr. John Gray was a monk, a celibate monk in Tibet for, I think, 9 years. And he came back to the United States with a PhD, and he started doing counseling. And he started noticing that in his counseling, men gave certain kinds of answers and women gave completely different answers. And that twigged the idea that they're from different planets. And so he wrote the now unbelievably world famous book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Kids Are From Hell. No, that's the sequel. And he's been a dear friend for a long time. We are both members of Transformational Leadership Council together. So we go on a wonderful vacation twice a year. He was also one of the superstars of the movie The Secret. And he is one of the top all-time, from the beginning of time, biggest selling nonfiction authors in all of history. He's an amazing man, but what's even more amazing is his heart is as big as a continent. He's loving and sharing, and he has like a boyish personality. He's just so fun to be with. You'd think someone of his giant credentials would be a little formal or a little serious, but he's just the most loving, gentlemanly person. And his life has started all over again. He's so happy. And that's one of the reasons that I've hired him for Mastery of Greatness. And he's going to be on our stage. And I just wanted him to meet you, and I wanted you to meet him so that he can tell us some of the things that you're going to be learning when you get to meet him. So John, take it away.
Wow, what a great introduction. How long are we going to talk, Raymond?
Oh, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. All right. So this is a pitch. This is the preview.
Well, it's more of a sharing. Like, what will they learn? And what are some of the things that you want to share with them and talk about?
Okay. You want me to just start?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So basically, there's so much to learn about how men and women make mistakes in relationships. And so many people are divorced too. And they always think it's their partner's fault. And they think, oh, you don't know my partner. I say, I do know your partner. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've never experienced a relationship which didn't start having problems from misunderstanding differences. Okay, so let's say, I give a common example from Men Are From Mars. Men go to their caves. Who is that? Is that your beautiful wife there?
Yes, come on. He's just called you on the screen. Come on, come here. This is my wife, Karen, whom John knows very well.
I look like I dress like this all the time. I don't.
Karen, it's so nice to see you. Oh, this guy is so lucky to have you. He's so lucky.
We're good to be quarantined together, and thank you.
I think because the two of you are amazing. You have good communication skills. Other people, it's a disaster. But you, he is so lucky to have you. I mean, for 90 years old, he looks so good.
Exactly. And by the way, part of my description of you would be that you're alive. You're a very alive person.
Yes.
Yeah, well, compared to him, I'm pretty alive.
Compared to him?
No, he is so alive. You are so alive.
A personal best today, stair climbing.
Oh
yes.
Yeah.
At age 75, I climb almost every day 100 flights of stairs. I live in a 25-story luxury condo, and I go up 4 times, and it takes me 37 minutes. Today, it took 33 and a half minutes.
You were
by 3.5 minutes.
You're a Superman. And you know what? What I've been telling people is everybody's worried about COVID and everything. And I say, a lot of people are dying. Actually, 8,000 people die in America every day. And so it's really about the same amount of people dying. But what's going on here, 0.1% die with COVID. That is true. But none of them actually walk up steps every day. None of them are exercising. That's true. That's true. These are people that are on high blood pressure medicines. And that's the details. If you're on high blood pressure medicines, because you're not, and if you're exercising, you don't have a high blood pressure. You don't have a high blood pressure, do you?
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, well, keep exercising. That
Okay,
will
I
keep
will.
you good. That's why, that's keeping you so young and energetic.
You
So
can deal with that later with him. I think
I will
there's
discuss
something
that
about
later.
it
I have
that's always
natural
coming.
options. Okay. Yes. You're so beautiful. Oh, you're such a lucky man. Listen, you can't get sick anyway with that woman walking around your house. It's just
No.
like we're talking what I'll teach in my class, okay, is hormones. Basically, for a man's well-being, he needs to have testosterone levels 10 to 20 times higher than a woman's. If they shrink too low because he doesn't exercise or he doesn't feel successful or he's not making a difference or he's not going to his job every day, then what happens is testosterone levels go down and his female hormones increase. That's estrogen. And that's when men feel fight or flight. That's when men are in a stress mode. And a stress mode prevents you from having your heart open. See, everything in relationships is about love. And when we have our class, I'll teach a whole variety of communication techniques to keep our heart open. But let's just look at what happens when the heart's closed. When the heart's closed, and that's, you know, we say the heart, we don't really mean the heart pumping. I don't mean that. I mean when you're feeling loving, happy, fulfilled, appreciative, trusting, accepting, worshiping. I mean, with that woman walking around, you get to worship all the time. You count your blessings every day. How did I get her in my life? You know, not everybody gets that, but we can all create situations to open our heart. Now, opening the heart basically means you're not in fight or flight. If you're in fight or flight, what happens is your immune system is compromised. That's why people get sick. That's also why people get, they begin to behave like 3-year-olds. Now, let me define a 3-year-old's behavior. You blame me, I blame you back. Then you blame me back and I blame you back. And then you criticize me and I criticize you. You say you did this and I say, but you did that. This is arguing. This is what couples do when they're in the 3-year-old brain, and they go to the 3-year-old brain when they're in fight or flight. And for women, when they're in fight or flight, you can watch how their hormones change. Women's testosterone levels will start to go up. That's the male hormone. And the female hormone, estrogen, will start to go down, or the female hormone progesterone starts to go down. Now, this is a biological reality. We can measure people when they're unhappy and when they're happy. When women are happy, they're having a balance of estrogen and progesterone. When men are happy, that smile on your face is testosterone. Is, okay, whenever a man feels I can be successful, I can achieve a goal, and I overcome obstacles to get there, he feels testosterone goes up. Whenever his wife smiles, by the way, his testosterone goes up. So you know you have to walk up those stairs, buddy, but still it's a good idea. You know, but what happens for men, because we have more muscle mass and the way we're designed is, think of it like if we're in fight or flight a long time ago, the way our bodies were designed over millions of years is basically, if you can run, then you're safe. Okay. You're basically getting out of the problem as opposed to being stuck. So if you use your muscles, we now know that using your muscles will use up adrenaline. We know that if adrenaline builds up when you feel powerless, if you don't use up your adrenaline, it's because you're not using your muscles. If you don't use your muscles, then your body thinks you're in extreme danger and cortisol levels go up. And for men, their fight or flight reaction begins. The amygdala takes over and blood flow stops to the prefrontal cortex of the brain.
Wow.
So basically everything we do at that time is what we saw as children our parents do when they were in fight or flight. And they do everything that their parents do when they were in fight or flight. You're going back all these generations to primitive behaviors. I mean, think about it when people get angry and yell. Yelling is actually the worst communication skill there is. I mean, if you yell, you're saying to somebody in their face, you're not hearing me. As opposed to, would you hear me? Would you hear me? Is not yelling, it's asking a question. It's lowering your voice. People will listen more, actually. So these are just little examples, but we should also know that in the primitive brain, if a man is angry, a woman will immediately close down and she can't hear anything he says. Because historically, when men are angry, people die. Even if you're the sweet guy who never hurt his wife, you get angry, a woman will start to go into fight or flight. And when women complain about men, men go into fight or flight because they feel like I failed. We take it personally. Now, it'd be great if I could say, just don't take it personally, but people do. When you're in fight or flight, you take things personally, and then you start behaving from a conditioned response in the brain. So part of what I'll be teaching in the class is a variety of communication skills that help men to increase the female hormones in women and help women to increase the masculine hormones in men. Imagine if we had a communication insight to do that. So let's cover one, which is very common, that I cover in Men Are From Mars. And that's called Men Go to Their Cave. You know, it's become a very popular notion about men in their cave. And that was first introduced to the world as a popular thing in Men Are From Mars, because I saw as one of the biggest problems in relationships is when women don't understand men. You see, when a woman is mad at you, she will withdraw. She won't talk to you. When a woman is feeling really hurt inside, she'll punish you by pulling away. So one of the reasons women go to their cave quite often is they feel you're unreliable. They feel, I can't trust you. I don't appreciate you. I reject you. So that's her way of rejecting and pushing away. You have failed me. They pull away into their cave. Well, so when we go to our cave, it has nothing to do with them. When we go to our cave, it's to forget our problems. You know, this is what Buddha taught. You know, it's what meditation's all about. You know, we're now learning the benefits of meditation. But the idea of meditation is to temporarily forget all your problems. Empty your mind. Let it go. Don't think about it. And so it's not like Buddha has the only person who taught this. We say it all the time to ourselves. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Forget it. It's not a problem. Just we'll deal with it tomorrow, mañana. These are all stress mechanisms, coping mechanisms that men have. But the problem is we'll say it to women. It doesn't work for women. See, women, they need to talk about it. Men need to forget it, come back to opening their heart, and then there's nothing to worry, then no negativity. But if a man's upset, he needs to temporarily stop talking and go to his cave and do something that makes him feel good, that's not dependent on his partner. See, that's the whole thing. Your wife makes you feel so good, but if you're under stress, you need to do something that you're good at, walk up those stairs, go give a seminar, go write a book, go help somebody in their life. That will build your testosterone. So now in her presence, because you love her so much, love increases estrogen, actually. When you have children, we know men's testosterone levels go down a bit. When women fall in love, their testosterone levels go down a bit. But it doesn't have to go down too far. If you have a good job and you take care of your muscles and you lower stress in your life, you can have higher testosterone levels. So, you know, if you compare mine as a test example, I test mine just to see if my work, you know, mine are higher than they were when I was a young man. I'll just put it that way.
Wow.
And that's because I take my cave time. Now, for me particularly, exercise and meditation are probably the best things men can be doing right now to help lower the stress during COVID. And we are responsible to do that. Women are responsible to lower their stress levels without depending on their partner as well by doing things that will increase estrogen and progesterone. What would those things be? Well, we can learn. We know in psychology, they finally learned in behavioral psychology, is that when you're depending on someone for something and anticipating getting what you need, your estrogen levels go up. Okay, so if a woman thinks my husband's unreliable, her estrogen levels are down. And so all the time, her brain will go into a bias of remembering all the things he's done that makes him unreliable.
I've had that happen.
Yeah, when people are under stress, there's a bias in the brain to only looking at negativity, and you cannot see the positivity. As a bias, automatically, you can't. Here's a playful way I'll describe in the seminar. I'll do one of my examples. Women have when women are in fight or flight, there's 8 times more blood flow from the amygdala, fight or flight center, to the hippocampus. Hippocampus is the part of the brain that has memories. Now, it's actually twice as big in women than men. And under stress, women have more blood flow that goes to that area. Whereas, and that's estrogen. They're basically, their estrogen, they need to talk about it and then they'll calm down. So think about that. Now we use a metaphor. It's like a library. A woman has a library and it's a bigger hippocampus, and it is 2 stories. On the ground floor of the library, she has all the good memories of how wonderful you are as a husband. And on the second floor, she has all the memories of every mistake you've ever made and every painful thing that's ever happened in her life. And that's on the second story. Now, she lives on the ground story if she's happy. But if she's in fight or flight, she gets in the elevator and goes up and she cannot come back down until fight or flight goes away. And fight or flight goes away in women when their estrogen levels go up. So one of the basic ideas of Men Are From Mars was that women need to talk to cope with stress. But don't talk to your husband. Because all you'll do is tell him how he has to change and what's wrong with him and how her life's not good and whatever. Then he'll feel like a failure. He'll go into fight or flight. Talk to your husband about what's going on when your heart is open, not when you're in fight or flight. And some people today are in fight or flight. Sitting and watching bad news on TV is one of the most stressful things you can do because you're passive. So what happens to people if they're watching the news, they're hearing how bad things are. What they'll do is want to eat junk food. They'll drink more. They'll get into arguments and fights. All of these things are symptoms of when we're under stress, we lose our good behavior. You know, it's like I even noticed I was watching too much TV for a while, the news. And suddenly my addiction from childhood came up. I became an addicted person. And what was my addiction? To graham crackers. You know, graham crackers?
Yes.
So I grew up in a wellness family. And so when my dad went out of town, my mother would bring out the health food cookies, which is graham crackers. So I love them. I love them. I haven't had them in 20 years. Okay. I used to have them at my house 20 years ago, but I realized if they're in the house and I'm passive, I'll go eat graham crackers.
Right.
So right now, I was watching the news and it was about 11 o'clock. I thought I'd check in with what's going on. And then what I do, all of a sudden I'm a craving for graham crackers. I feel I can't live without graham crackers. I get up in a trance, walking to the cabinet, looking, my brain is looking, I have no control. Fortunately, there's no graham crackers at my house. But so this is an example of what happens when you're passive and you hear dangerous things. Your stress levels go up. What women need to do at those times is avoid watching the TV about negative things. And what she needs to do is talk about how she feels and talk to somebody who can relate, another woman who she's not blaming. If you talk about how you feel and you're blaming, you don't end up producing estrogen, just a little bit, but you don't produce a lot. And what you do as well is you create an unconscious narrative, a pathway in the brain to use complaining to get what you want. You see, what happens in the brain is that whatever neurons fire together, they grow together. So you grow pathways in the brain. That's why it's so hard to break a habit, because if we have a way of feeling good, that neural pathway is strengthened and strengthened and strengthened. And then you have no control, that's unconscious, unless you're in the prefrontal cortex of the brain. You have to be in the prefrontal cortex of the brain in order to detach from your automatic reactions. And how to get into the prefrontal cortex in the brain, I will teach communication skills that will put your partner there, put yourself there, put him there. But one, for example, is when a man's in his cave, how do you interpret that? Does that mean he doesn't love you? No, now you know he's a Buddha. He needs to take time to forget his problems and then he'll come out of the cave. But if he comes out of the cave and you're mad at him, he goes back into the cave to forget that problem. And what happens to women if they need to talk about their feelings and a man tries to solve it, interrupt, get to the point, then she starts all over. And so men think women have to talk forever. They don't. If you just say the 3 magic phrases, help me understand that better. What else? Tell me more. It's you wanted to stop talking. That's just going to make her talk more. So those are a few simple examples. We have so many other communication skills that we'll look at.
What an irony. What an irony, John, that tell me more ends her talking.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, everything in life is ironic. And the whole book, Men Are From Mars, is ironic because we're all doing our very best. And yet we're doing what we would want and not necessarily what our partner wants. See, we don't know better. That's all it is. We just don't know better. And so, if you want to navigate life, you'd have a North Star if you're an old-fashioned navigator in a boat. And you're always off track, but you can find the right direction by looking at the North Star. If you're going too far one direction, you know which is east, you know which is west. Same thing with an airplane. Airplane goes from LA to New York. It's always off track. It's going to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, balancing, because it knows the direction it wants to go is the ideal. It's never going to be perfect, but that plane will arrive in New York perfectly at the right time. It's amazing how it can happen that way. So
I want to tell you something I've learned from you, which is like a North Star. I'm sitting in my office. My wife's office is in the next room. It's 20 feet away. But you told me such a loving story that you would suddenly stop work and cry, Bonnie, Bonnie, where are you? And you'd run around the home as if you couldn't find her, as if there's some big mystery of where she could be, when you know darn well she's either in her office or in the kitchen or so. It's pretty obvious to find her. But you'd run around as if there's some big issue. And then when you find her, you just hug her and you both laugh. Well, I have been doing that since you taught me. And I will just get up and Karen, and she giggles to herself because she knows that I'm looking for her. And then I just come running in as if I have something important to say. And I said, oh, it's on your face, I can get it. And then I kiss her and I go away.
You're so great.
But I learned it from you. You're my North Star. And she loves it. And as a guy, I say, really, that's what she needs? But I mean, what's so horrible about kissing a wife?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have done it.
Oh, we have so many extra little tools, but I know we're doing a short interview and I know that people are with their partners at home and there's this lockdown thing still going on.
You can talk for more. I love you.
Okay. But so anyway, I want to make sure people get this in our short time we have together.
Okay.
And I just needed to find the foundation for it, which is that women need more estrogen. When they're stressed, they need more estrogen and progesterone. There's many things they can do on their own, which we'll get into in our presentation. Many things men can do to rebuild their testosterone. I just mentioned a few. But what we can do as couples, if you are in a relationship, this is such a fun thing to do. It's a new game I created during this isolation time. Okay, so how it works is every man, to build his testosterone, this is a testosterone supercharger, using your relationship to supercharge. Every man wants to be all powerful. When you feel all powerful, your testosterone goes up. Look what I did. I did that. Yes. And does everybody know that you went to the North Pole? I just wanted to give you a little charge of that testosterone. All I have to do is say, this is the guy who went to the North Pole. Amazing. When he was like 80 years old. Okay, so it's amazing. You are amazing. Okay, so that bumps up testosterone. So you are the genie. You are all. It's called Genie in a Bottle. This game, you play it for 20 minutes, and during a 20-minute window, a woman depends on you to do whatever she likes. Okay, so she's going to ask you to do many things, and you're going to respond like you're a flight attendant in first class. It's my pleasure. I would be happy to. Oh, let me go there. Is there anything more I can do for you? What else can I do for you? And during that 20 minutes, you immediately react. Everything is with a smile. Everything is fast. Get it done. And she is not allowed to do anything on her own. She's dependent on you to do things for her.
Oh, wow. So rub my back, get me a tea.
That's right. Make me some orange juice, clean the dishes, go vacuum the floor, go upstairs, get some oil, put on my feet, and then have them take off your shoes, take off my shoes and socks, give me a foot massage. Oh, my neck feels like a little rub. Oh, would you put on my favorite music? All these things she has to ask. She's not allowed to do anything for herself. She has to ask him to do things. And he's a genie in the bottle, but she has unlimited wishes for 20 minutes. Now, it's very important that she not ask for anything which goes beyond 20 minutes. She can't say things like, will you try to always remember to turn out those lights? That's about tomorrow, the next day, the past. Now, these are all things right now.
Yeah.
And she gets to experience through her senses, through her eyes, through her ears, through touch, that she can make a request and she will always get a yes. And this is the amazing thing that I've learned about women in estrogen. When it comes to estrogen, little things or big things have this, if they're acts of love in response to her request, have the same estrogen response.
Oh.
So let's say I give her 50 roses, that's going to create a wave of estrogen, right? She goes, oh, that's so nice. You can give 1 rose, same wave of estrogen. So the point of this 20 minutes is you can do so many little things in 20 minutes, and that creates a pumping up of the estrogen level.
Oh, I get it.
And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing technique. It's looking at little things. All you can do in 20 minutes is what can you do now? And you can, once you play this game a few times, then you can also do it before you go to bed. It's very fun in the bedroom too. It helps improve communication there. So this is like amazing technique. I'm just having so much fun with it. Now, some couples who are angry with each other, they're just too close together, too much time not getting their own needs met. What happens is for the first 5 minutes, you fake it. You just pretend like you're a flight attendant, you know, you're a genie, you're all powerful. And she's like, okay, I got someone to do things for me. But after 5 minutes of doing this, the hormones will change. They have to change because she's asking and not able to do things herself, and he has to do it for her. It's amazing how powerful it is. And you know, when I teach this, so many people are happy about it. They're enjoying it. And some people have said when I've told the technique that they'll say, well, what about a game for the men? I say, This is for the men. All men need, see, men need their testosterone pumped up. See, this is what pumps up the testosterone. And after you played it for a while and you're feeling really, really connected, then if you want, you can do the role reversal. Because, you know, every man has a female side, every woman has a male side. And people who are in gay relationships, they can also do this as well. It's very, very fun. They would just switch, take turns more often. It's a very fun thing to do. So it brings back the awareness that we are different beings. She needs to constantly be reminded, he needs testosterone, pump him up. Good job. Oh, that makes me so happy. Oh, I'm enjoying this very much. And we need to be verbal about our happiness. And he needs to be overly verbal like a flight attendant would be. Just
So, John, something happened today and I want you to explain it. So I did 100 flights of stairs in a record time. I've never done it that fast. And I came in panting and said, Karen, I broke my personal best. I'm amazed. I'm so excited. And she said, wow. I said, no, that wasn't enough. So she faked it. I could tell she was faking. She said, oh my God, you're my hero. You're a knight on the big steed. You've saved me. You'll be young forever. I'm so impressed. And I liked it knowing she was faking it.
That's right.
Explain that.
Because, okay, if we have any level, if we have a need for love and support, we're in our child brain.
Yeah.
And we have a child brain. It needs love and support. It needs safety. It needs security. And the more you're in touch with the need, the more these mirror cells in your brain turn on. So if she says those things, the mirror just reflects it back and you go, oh, I am that, I am that, I am that. And faking it, you know, even with placebo, we found that placebos can work if you tell someone. The research showing that placebos work even if somebody knows it's a placebo.
No way.
Yes.
That's not possible.
Yes. That's the guy
the
with the
placebo
purple pill.
Works because you think it's the real pill. But
yeah,
placebos work.
You tell people that there's research that shows that placebos work even if you know they're placebos, and then give them the pill. This is a placebo pill, and it works because you've just told them placebos work even if you know they're a placebo. And that's research that shows that has been proven. It's all suggestion. You see, when you're feeling I need love, you're open to suggestion because you're in that childlike mind. That's also why there's so much negativity in some relationships when they don't have good communication, because the childlike mind needs love as part of us. And when it doesn't interpret the situation correctly then it has a big, big overreaction, a strong emotional reaction, and it's believing false messages. See, the message the brain's giving when a man goes to his cave, that the message a woman's brain gives her, because he's different. She doesn't understand really what's going on inside of him. In her mind, she goes, oh, he doesn't love me as much. Oh, he must be mad at me. What did I do wrong? Or he's not a very caring person. Or he's so selfish. He's done so many selfish things. I don't even know if he's the right person for me. Maybe I made a mistake when I married him. I don't know if I can be myself anymore. He's unreliable. I'll have to do everything myself. I feel I'm powerless to get what I need anymore. I'll just have to do it all myself. Those are all messages that they're just logical messages if your husband was really mad at you. and men, and sometimes men are really mad, but it's very temporary. It's like a cloud in front of the sky. As long as you walk into another room, do not engage in conversation if your husband is angry. Then you've left him in his cave. You've made whatever that space is. If men are alone and they're not talking, estrogen levels will start to go down. Well, one of the things that increases testosterone is feeling on your own. I have to do it myself. You see, when you feel that I'm dependent on my partner for love, then we blame them. And so your testosterone goes down. And for women, when they're feeling unloved, they feel like, oh, I can't get what I need. And so their estrogen goes down. I have to do it myself as a testosterone producer. And so then women will feel stress levels go up. So when her husband is angry, if that happens, she should not engage in conversation, because that's what women typically do, because instinctively she thinks if we can just talk more, everything will get better. It doesn't. That's why the violence levels now we know have dramatically gone up since people have been isolated in their homes together. And that's a basic, one of the many reasons for that, but people think talking is the solution, because often talking is the solution if your stress levels are low. But if your stress levels are high, it only makes things worse. Women need to talk to somebody they're not upset with, and men need to take time to forget being upset with their partner, do something that makes them feel good, their stress levels come down. But we're just stuck together because another idea beyond Mars and Venus is the ideal relationship. It depends upon you being fulfilled. 80% of your fulfillment is not dependent on your partner. You see, that's what an adult is. I'm a happy, fulfilled person in my life, and 20% of my fulfillment comes from my wife. I'm a happy person. Our relationship makes me happier, takes me to levels I can't get to on my own. But if I'm not happy, she can't make me happy. If she's not happy, I can't make her happy. I will only fail, but I can at least not make it worse. That's what men do. We unknowingly make it worse. John? I can create a space for her to find her happiness again. Then I can make her happier. That's the power of an intimate relationship. Now, many people are happy in their lives, but if they're like you with that happy woman walking around and all you have to do is run around the house and give her a hug and she's happier, that makes you happier.
Yes.
And you found a woman who's already fulfilled and happy in her life. Clearly, 80% of her happiness has nothing to do with you. She's so self-reliant. She's so self-sufficient. She has such good self-esteem. I know her, so I'm talking about her. All you have to do is the easy things, and it makes her happier. So now some men might be listening, yeah, my wife is not that way. She's not self-reliant. She's not this. She's not that. Wait a second. You fell in love with her. There was a time. And when you have this new knowledge, you realize how you have made it more difficult for her to find her happiness, because men unknowingly do that. If a woman lives in an environment where she's upset or not in a good mood, and the message she gets from her partner is she's bad, she's not lovable, and he takes it personally, then it's harder for her to feel safe to be herself. So this is what happens in dysfunctional relationships.
Now, John, can I add something here? We've been listening to a lot of things you're saying, but I want all my viewers to know something. I really listen to this dear friend of mine, John Gray. I really do. And I told you that I have instilled this habit of running around the house looking for my wife, and I know darn well where she is anyways. But I've done another thing, and that is from the days in the 1970s of EST and personal growth training, I heard that I'm responsible. I'm responsible for my happiness. But it didn't feel right, because when I was with somebody that I loved, especially like a new woman, my hormones are blazing and I'm so excited, then it seemed like she was part of my happiness. It seemed like it isn't true that I'm 100% responsible. And so I've struggled with that. And every time I struggle with it, I say, well, I guess I'm just not responsible enough. I should be more of a man. And your insight was so gratifying that I'm 80% responsible, but my wife is not responsible. I have to be happy. She can make me happier. When I heard that, it's like you let me off the hook. You solved a problem I couldn't figure out since the 1970s. I'm telling you, when I play with this man, when I have a meal with him or breakfast, or I'm on the stage with him, I learn so much. And every so often I say, what? I'm going to implement that. And it changes my life. It changes our relationship. I'm so grateful to you, John. Anyways, go. I just wanted to interject.
Raymond,
I don't just listen to him and, okay, go ahead.
You're such a great teacher because you're always learning. And that's why we're brothers together, because I always continue to learn as well. We're all growing. This is every challenge. And I want people to know this. This is a huge challenge right now where people are stuck together. This forces us to either grow or go down, and make it an opportunity to grow, make it an opportunity to learn more, to try and do new things. And I want to mention for the single people as well who are isolated, what's happening here is you're in fight or flight. And I'm going to step out of relationships for a moment and just talk human beings. When human beings are in fight or flight, they need to get into the front part of the brain. Now, there's some way to immediately get to that front part of the brain, and that's called new and different education that will help you. Oh. New and different education that will help you. If let's say, and for men, it needs to be, because men need more testosterone, right? So it's new and different education that will increase your ability, your power to make a difference. So I'm doing a lot of research. Also, again, as I mentioned before, I'm doing a lot of exercise. Exercise is very important to burn off that adrenaline. And if you sit passively listening to something that makes you feel powerless, then your stress levels go up. But if you sit passively, actively learning something that's going to help you be more powerful in the future, whatever that might be, is going to increase your testosterone. Now, for women, it needs to be learning something new and different to teach them how to be happier, maybe how to cook better food, maybe how to be a better gardener. My daughter's watching all of these cooking classes. Not that, women should cook. I'm not saying that. She just loves cooking. It's a very easy thing for her to do. She's very good at it. Bonnie was a great cook. My other daughters are a great cook. So she's taking all these classes to be the best cook. She also has a garden. So she's home all the time. So now she's doing a lot of gardening and learning how to garden. These are things which are actually very grounding because they're nurturing activities. Not that a man can't feel powerful doing nurturing, but particularly for women, when it comes to estrogen, nurturing activities where you freely give to someone, it's your gift of love, is also a big estrogen stimulator. So also you could take classes, any kind of class, like an aerobics class where somebody's telling you, now you're going to do this, now you're going to do that. So you follow the leader. Whenever you can follow the leader, if you're a woman, your estrogen levels will go up if that leader is taking you where you want to go. So yoga class, online yoga classes, all these things are online, even online, and of course shopping online. And the technique with shopping, now maybe not every woman, okay, but so many women, shopping can produce a lot of estrogen because it means, oh, I want that and I can have that. Oh, I don't want to have that. I don't need that. See, it's this being awareness of what do I need and that I can have. That's what produces estrogen. So to go online and order things that are not expensive, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just need a little package to come in the mail. That little child in the brain goes, oh, I got another present today. oh, I got another present today. Another thing men can do during this time, these are things I've learned to do for myself, is see 80% of my life, we're out there traveling the world, we're teaching people, we're interacting with people. And so you've got to catch a plane, there's a delay, now you have to change your flight, now you're going to go here, you got to drive there, you got to navigate, what hotel am I going to? Life is filled with 1,000 problems every day. We may not look at it that way, but solving those problems is actually this big testosterone producer. And now I'm sitting home, I live in a castle, everything's done for me, I got people who do stuff for me. I'm like on vacation. I can only do vacation for a few days. I need to get my testosterone up. So exercise has been very, very important for me, and education has been very important. And thank goodness I can do part of my job by teaching online because I'm a teacher. That helps, but still my body needs to feel that I'm overcoming challenges all the time. And what makes the difference is how good are you at overcoming challenges? And one of the best things for men to know, it's like a rule in my life, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I just say to myself all the time, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Nothing's wrong. It's, there's I get on the, planes are late. You see people getting all upset. Planes are always late. Things are always happening. That's life. It's our requirement, our expectation, our demand that life be perfect and everything be the way we want it to be. That's what makes us so unhappy. We say, well, it should be this way. Well, they should do that. Well, they should do this. And I have to constantly remind us that it's not a big deal. Nobody's perfect. And same thing we should be saying like right now during we're isolated in the house. It's not a big deal. It's going to pass. It's not a big deal. It's going to pass. Don't believe the messages your brain is giving you right now. If you're feeling fear, if you're feeling anger, do not believe those messages. Those messages are not coming from the front part of your brain. They're not coming from your wisdom. They're coming from conditioned responses from childhood. And you think it's true. You believe it's true. You'll find evidence. Your mind's going to look for it. So you got to calm that down by just, first of all, saying, don't believe the fake messages, I'm believing wrong messages, but now you'll keep believing them. You can't get out of it because you're not in the front part of your brain. You have to do something that will produce testosterone if you're a man and produce something to produce estrogen if you're a woman. That's the only way out. Now there's a million techniques to do that, that produce estrogen. But if you're a man and you're doing an estrogen producing technique, it's not going to work for you. And if you're a woman, you think, okay, now I got to solve all the problems here. It's not going to work. So all we're talking about, it's really very binary. What direction do I need to go in? Do I need to go to my male side? Do I need to go to my female side? We need to identify those two parts of who we are. And if I'm stressed and I'm a man, 95% of the time, it's because I've gone too far to the female side. Let me give an example of that. Anytime you feel angry, anytime you feel fear, estrogen's being produced. So if you're a man, negative emotions is always your estrogen is too high and your testosterone's going down. Now, if you're a woman and you have negative emotions, your testosterone is too high and your estrogen is too low. So it's just the opposite. Angry women all have low estrogen, high testosterone. Angry men all have high estrogen, low testosterone.
Well, I would have thought if they're angry, they had too much testosterone.
Who?
I would have thought if they're angry, that they were filled with testosterone. How can they get angry with estrogen?
That's the great thing. That's the book. My most recent book is Beyond Mars and Venus. And I did not invent this idea. It was a revelation for me that you just had, which is a Stanford professor wrote a book about testosterone. And he was the one who popularized, although nobody seems to know it yet, the research showing that it's estrogen that is anger.
Wow.
Testosterone going down. So what happens inside of men is when you have a problem, you already know what happens if you're confident and there's a problem. Every time we stand in front of an audience, you could say the wrong thing and lose everybody, It's like, so that could be fight or flight. Or I'm driving my car really fast, 70 miles an hour, you can die in an instant. But because I'm a good driver, I'm in a good car, I got good brakes, I feel safe. Why do I feel safe? Because I'm confident. So my testosterone, the greater the challenge, testosterone goes up. So that's one of the things men can do is, particularly now, go out and drive your car. Driving your car is a testosterone producer because you are in danger, but you're in control. You have confidence. So danger stimulates testosterone. Okay, some conflict, opposition, testosterone does go up. But if you lose your cool, calm, and collected is testosterone. As soon as you lose your cool, calm, and collected, now testosterone is actually turning into estrogen, and you're starting to feel the adrenaline response, and then you'll start to feel the fear. Now you can drive your car this way. You can go feel these emotions as you drive. If you find what your comfort zone is when you're driving your car fast. Okay, that's a comfort zone. So for some people that would be 70, some people 80, some people 90 miles an hour. They're in their comfort zone. So say around 80 miles an hour for me, I'm totally in my comfort zone. I don't even know I'm going fast. I have a Bentley. It's a Bentley's like a tank. Okay. So you push the accelerator, it will go 202 miles an hour. So it just feels like it's doing nothing to go 80 miles an hour. So I'm just driving along 80 miles an hour. Then if I press on my accelerator, I go to 100 miles an hour, you'll feel the adrenaline being produced. Okay. Now adrenaline is a precursor. The conversion is starting to happen to estrogen.
Oh.
Now the estrogen is starting to build. So then if I go to 110, I feel anxious. See, that means now my testosterone is going down, the adrenaline is being produced. Now my estrogen's going up, and that's fight or flight.
Wow.
And of course, that you can feel it in the car. You just go in the car, you'll notice all those differences happening.
Wow.
And it's all about feeling in control. You have to feel in control, and testosterone is in control when look what I can do. If I'm out of control, what can I do to control? Now, estrogen is what can I do to control? That control is safety. I feel safe. So how do you stay safe? On the female side is I have people that take care of me, that love me, that support me, that I can ask for help and I will get it. I have someone who adores me and loves me, would never do anything to hurt me. He will sacrifice anything for me. He feels so lucky to be with me. I'm such a princess. See, she married this old man, 90 years old. You look so good.
John?
That's just my joke for everybody. Yeah.
You said something when you were on my stage. This is many years ago. And I was so startled by it because I had an already knowing that it was true, but I'd never been able to say it so clearly. And I want to say it now because it's really funny and have you explain it to everybody. You said, if you ever see a husband and wife in a car and the wife's driving, they ain't getting any sex.
I try to be a little careful with that one, but generally, not always, but quite often that's the case. Usually when a woman is driving, it's because she doesn't trust her husband's driving.
Oh.
So she sees him as unreliable. Therefore, she doesn't feel safe that he can take care of her.
Oh.
And when women don't feel safe, then their estrogen levels go down. Safety increases estrogen. Safety, which is dependent on somebody else. So here's where, if I talk about car arguments, there's so many arguments that happen in the car because women don't feel safe because of the way men drive. And men, of course, do not like women telling us how to drive. And women do not like if men drive in a way that makes her feel unsafe.
Right.
So understanding the hormones completely changed the way I drive in the car with my wife. So, she would always, generally, she feels I drive too fast at times, and she feels very uncomfortable. Now, part of her can go, okay, I love my husband, so I'll just be uncomfortable. Well, that means that she's sacrificing her own happiness for me. Her testosterone's going up. So she's not getting the full benefit of going for a drive. See, the truth is, when I'm driving, my testosterone can go up because I'm in control. If she feels that my commitment is to drive in a way that makes her feel safe, then her estrogen levels shoot up even higher because she's also in a dangerous situation and can rely on my driving. So we had to have communication for that. So we figured out this great technique, which is anytime that I was driving in a way that did not make her feel safe and comfortable and at ease in my driving, all she had to do was not speak. Speak would be too hard for me to hear. She just reach her hand up and hold the handle. you know, it was BMW at that time. We learned that one. And you just reach for the handle. And I would go, oh, I'm driving too fast. I will slow down, honey. I'm so sorry. And I slow down. I say, I want to make sure that you feel comfortable. And I put my hand on her thigh. And then she smiles and she says, yes, and I appreciate it. It becomes a romantic gesture. The same thing happens with the red light, green light thing, which is that when I see a yellow light, I tend to want to speed up and go through it. And she will tend to want to slow down and stop. I just think it's ridiculous because I can go right through it. But she likes to stop, okay? So not every woman's that way, but my wife feels more comfortable if we just see yellow light, you stop. Even if it's an abrupt stop, which I think is very jerky driving, I reach over, I put my hand on her thigh, and I said, and I did that for you. And she says, I know, and I really appreciate it. Now, see, that's a dance. That's that she's seeing that I'm responding to danger in a way that makes her feel safe, as opposed to in a way that makes me feel more testosterone. Certainly it's not going to make me feel dangerous to stop at a yellow light, but it doesn't give me that extra boost. But so what? I get the extra boost because she smiles back at me and says, yes, you did that for me.
So
now,
I've never heard before this extra thing that if she tells me she feels unsafe, it bothers me, hurts me, I get resentful. But if she just does an action, but doesn't speak, I could easily handle that. That's unbelievable. Oh, my wife and I sometimes have disputes in the car. If
yes.
she does it silently, I can handle. Oh my God,
Yes,
you changed my life. You changed my life. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I tell you, since we're talking about that, Raymond, because you got it. When we had this argument about it, you know, she said, well, John, whatever I say, you get annoyed and irritated by it. So I feel like I can't even tell you I want you to slow down. And I said, no. So then she said to me, what can I say for you to slow down or drive differently without it bothering you? And I remember I pulled the car over and I thought about it for a long time. And I realized there's nothing you can say. So then I realized all you have to do is put your hand up and I'll do it. The words.
Oh my God. I thought this video was to teach other people. I'm learning so much myself. Oh my, I love you all over again, John.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you.
You think I'm 90, I think you're 30 because you're so boyishly enthusiastic.
Well,
Wow.
you bring out the best in me. You certainly do.
Wow. I've learned so much. Oh my gosh. Anyways, John, my dear friend, Dr. John Gray, is going to be on my stage. We're going to be sharing the stage. He's going to be telling you his wisdom, answering your questions. I'm just so excited. I love having you. You haven't been on my stage for a few years, and my clients miss you. They just fall all in love with you all over again, just like I do when they see you again. I'm so looking forward to seeing you.
I'm looking forward to being there again as well. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, John. And bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you, John.